Raw material price changes are a reality for all manufacturing companies, and cost managers are charged with making sure that product costs, which serve as the basis for pricing decisions, are accurately calculated. In this example, let's imagine that you work for a food company that produces frozen meals for sale at grocery and discount stores. As you can imagine, there are a number of inputs or raw material components that are assembled to create the meal. For the sake of simplicity, let's focus on the three main components for this chicken meal: chicken, rice, and aluminum packaging. The recipe identifies the amount of each component required to make the meal. Multiply the amount by the cost per unit, and you can calculate the cost associated with each raw material input. Adding them together, the three main components have a total cost of $3.34. Bringing that cost forward, we'll make an assumption that the cost of additional components, like seasoning for example, add another 75 cents. These two costs together brings the total cost per dinner to $4.09. Now that you've calculated the cost to produce the dinner, you can take the next step to determine the sales price. We'll assume that your management team requires a 20% margin on frozen meals, so adding another 83 cents to the total cost gives the final retail price of $4.91. So far, this has been a fairly straightforward exercise in calculating product costs. Now let's take a look at what would happen if the raw material component prices go up and how that would impact profits. So your sales team has landed a deal with a large discount retailer requiring the company to deliver 1 million units of chicken dinners in a month. The salesperson quoted the retail price of $4.91 to the discount store based on the product cost calculations we just reviewed. While the sales team may be celebrating their success, because they didn't consult you before signing the deal, they could be in for a big surprise as to how profitable the deal really is for the company. To fulfill the order, we can multiply the recipe amounts by 1 million to determine how much of each raw material component you'll need on hand to complete the order. For this example, let's just focus on chicken. We'll need 500,000 pounds of chicken to put together enough dinners to fulfill the new deal, not to mention any other orders you may have to fulfill this month. Currently, you're only contracted with a chicken supplier for delivery of 300,000 pounds of chicken at a rate of $3.40 per pound. Since chicken is a commodity item, prices tend to fluctuate daily, and it's unlikely that you'll be able to negotiate the same price for the additional 200,000 pounds you'll need to complete the order. So let's take a look at the numbers. Supplier A will deliver the 300,000 pounds for the agreed $3.40, and another supplier has agreed to make delivery on the remaining 200,000 pounds for a higher price of $3.89. Since now there are two different sources for the chicken, you'll need to use a weighted average for the cost of the chicken. In this case, $1.80 when you calculate the total cost. Adding the cost for the remaining components, the total cost per dinner becomes $4.19. Comparing this new cost to the retail price the sales team quoted to the discount store, you can see that the profit margin falls to 17.19%. which is short of the 20% margin mandated by the management team. Because the sales was uninformed about the impact of the increased raw material price, the contract they've locked in leaves profits on the table and makes the chicken dinner look like a poor performer. So what can we learn from this example? Well, we know intuitively that raw material price changes will affect profits. But this example illustrates that what may seem like a win for the company ultimately does not meet the profitability goals. Better communication between sales and cost accounting during the negotiation phase could have provided the insight needed to structure the deal in a way that still met the corporate goals. We hope you found this discussion about raw material price changes informative, and we invite you to view other Society of Cost Management educational videos.